On the 20th of May, the Pakistani government promoted General Asim Munir to the rank of Field Marshal. Some would say he promoted himself, but that's another story. The rank of Field Marshal is a ceremonial rank. It's usually seen in the armies that draw their origin from the British Army, armies of the Commonwealth. And this rank is usually given to army officers during times of war, or to basically sort of celebrate and commemorate the role that they played during a particular conflict or a war. For example, in India, the first Field Marshal was Sam Manekshaw, who led the Indian Army during the 1971 war. The second Field Marshal actually served before him, General K.M. Karyappa, who later became Field Marshal in 1986. He was the first Indian Chief of the Indian Army. In Pakistan, you had Ayub Khan, who became the Field Marshal in around 1958-59, just when he was about to, I think, sort of retire from the post of Chief of Army Staff, and then he went on to become President. This is the second time in Pakistani history that the Pakistani Army has seen a Field Marshal. This time, that person is also the Chief of the Army Staff, as of right now. What do we make of this? For this, we have Sandeep Unnithan. Sandeep, I saw your tweet yesterday when this news broke. Very interesting, where you basically said that you had you had foreseen a coup happening in Pakistan a few months back, and what you described this as, this news development, you described this as a soft coup. Can you tell us what you mean by soft coup and your first and initial impressions of what's happened in Pakistan?
Well, thanks for having me, Dave. It's good to be with you again. Now, a few weeks back, I was with Gaurav Sawant on one of his shows, and we were thinking aloud about what happened in Pakistan after the Kargil War of 1999. So there are only two ways that it ends in Pakistan. There's either a military defeat, where the army is defeated, or the army is defeated and there is a coup of sorts, where either the army chief assumes power, or he's shunted out and the next dictator takes over. This has been a pattern in Pakistan. You know, Pakistan is a country that's predictable only in its unpredictability. And what I was saying here essentially is that this entire conflict that we had with Pakistan in the last couple of weeks has always been about one man, General Asim Munir, now Field Marshal Asim Munir. And it's Munir trying to assert himself over Imran Khan. There is that huge battle that he's had, clash of personalities between Asim Munir and Imran Khan. 2024, he got his tenure extended from 3 years to 5 years. This is part of that whole narrative that he's creating, where he wants to say that he's actually the victor of what actually transpired. Whereas the satellite imagery will tell you that Pakistan's air bases were smashed, their radar sites were smashed. The military came out looking completely helpless, unable to protect itself from India's airstrikes, right? You had all the jets and all the air defense missiles, all of them Chinese incidentally. None of them could stop Indian Air Force's rampage through Pakistan. And now here is General Asim Munir creating this narrative of being this great victor who's won this great war, which, you know, it's a bit Walter Mitty-esque. You remember the Adventures of Walter Mitty, which was remade into Mungeri Lal ke Haseen Sapne. So this is Mungeri Lal for you. He's the Mungeri Lal of Pakistan, fighting all these imaginary battles, which he seems to have won, and he has anointed himself with all of these medals and, you know, titles. And this is one more title, Field Marshal. Why not?
Yeah. But what does this do to the structure of the Pakistani military, the Pakistani military establishment vis-a-vis the government? I mean, if there is even a sort of a structure there when we talk about the government bit of it. Because like I mentioned, a field marshal is usually an honorary rank. Yes. They are supposed to be in service until they die, but they do not serve any active role. At least there's been no precedence of that happening. Right. Now you have an army officer who's the field marshal, and as of right now, when we record this, there is no new army chief being appointed. So he's still the army chief. So how does that equation play out? Do you see him still remaining in the role of the army chief?
Well, you know, Dave, we really don't know yet. We'll have to wait and watch. But you know, my sense is that Asim Munir would not want to let go of the Pakistan army as the army chief. There would possibly be a situation where he would continue to be army chief while serving as field marshal, and he would actually have a full general under him, you know, because these kind of things have never happened in Pakistan. Even in Pakistan, you've not had, a field marshal being the army chief as well. But it's all about Munir and what Munir wants. Munir wants to run the Pakistan army indefinitely because he believes he is God's answer to Pakistan's problems, which is what all of Pakistan's military dictators believe. That the last 4 dictators have all believed that they were the answer to all of Pakistan's problems, and each one of them, every single Pakistani military dictator has got Pakistan into worse problems than when they took over. Whether you look at Field Marshal Ayub Khan, you look at General Yahya Khan, you look at General Ziaul Haq, and finally General Parvez Musharraf. And now you have Asim Munir, the first Zia Bharti, the third Zia Bharti chief, which is the line of 3 chiefs who were commissioned during the tenure of General Ziaul Haq, when the Islamization of the Pakistan military began. So it's all about Asim Munir. What does he want? He wants to be Pakistan Army Chief. He wants to be Field Marshal, effectively General for life, which means that he's always going to wear a uniform. And it's a uniform that he stitched for himself. It's a title that he has bestowed upon himself. And he will continue to be this general in uniform till his last days.
Do you think that then explains why he's not gone down the route of Parvez Musharraf, who chose to become president, who chose to basically carry out a coup and become president, and this guy is not doing that at least as of yet?
Very good question, Dave. Parvez Musharraf again believed he was God's answer to all of Pakistan's problems, and he was a hands-on guy. He's a commando, right? He always thought like a commando, tactically. So he took over the reins of power, and then finally, towards the end of it, he was first forced by the United States to give up his chief of the army's position, and he had to give it to another of his acolytes, who was also the DG ISI Kayani, General Parvez Kayani, and then he had to become president, and finally he had to step down as president itself. So that was Parvez Musharraf for you, this hands-on guy. Munir appears to be a hands-on guy. At the same time, he doesn't want to be the dictator who will actually take over the reins of power. He'd rather have Shahbaz Sharif do all the dirty work. If you want to go before the world with a begging bowl, for instance, I'll sit and I'll be the field marshal. I'll play this, great supreme leader and all of that, and let Shahbaz take the flak. His brother Nawaz did a lot of that a couple of years back. Now it's the other brother's turn. So I think that's what this division of responsibilities, from how I see Asim Munir's personality. So that explains the soft coup. Yeah. You're in command, you're in power, without any of the responsibilities of actually being a dictator, and worse, getting Western sanctions. Pakistan, there's no democracy in Pakistan, and Asim Munir is a dictator if he were to take power. But he has all the power without any of the accountability. Shahbaz Sharif gets all the, the flak and the brickbats. Asim Munir as Field Marshal gets all the bouquets. That's what he thinks. Yeah, it's like Shahbaz Sharif can sort of clean the drains and mend the roads. I'll run the country basically. From behind. Yeah. Last point. When you speak to your friends, people in the Indian Army, officers, now I've always felt that no matter how sort of role Pakistani Army plays when it comes to sort of fomenting terrorism and supporting terrorism and sponsoring terrorism, at the end of the day, I've always felt that when it comes to the tactical level, officers of the Indian Army will always see the Pakistani Army as sort of a mutual enemy, like army to hai. But when they see stuff like this happening in the country, when they see stuff like, the chief of the army of Pakistan elevating himself to field marshal, do they also laugh amongst themselves? Oh, it's a running joke. I mean, you should check out some of the memes that are doing the rounds in the army circles. He's the laughing stock. But so has the Pakistan Army always been. Like I said, it's an army that is predictable only in its unpredictability. It's not a professional army anymore, I feel. The kind of, which professional army, for instance, runs the kind of businesses that they do? They're involved in all kinds of skullduggery, and they foment terrorism and using terrorism as an instrument of state policy. And the worst part about this, Dave, is that this army for the last 4 decades has been packaging its citizens and sending them across the border to die fighting their wars, their dirty wars, their covert wars. Imagine India doing any of that. the kind of outcry that would be there if it were discovered that India was pushing its own citizens to fight in foreign lands as so-called non-state actors. But that's what Pakistan does. It's been doing that for ages, from the time it was born, 14th of August, 1947.
Right. Cool. Thanks, man. Great chat. And think quick take. That's what we wanted from you. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, everybody.